Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Famer Bob Berry ruled Milwaukee's airwaves in the 60s and 70s. He spoke with countless musicians and celebrities over the years. Bob collected remarkable recordings of these encounters, which he's now sharing with the public. Here's Bob.
Thanks for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. And you never know where our podcast is going. I know what you're saying. Where's he going today? Well, today's podcast takes us into the golden age of showbiz gossip, when the movie studios were powerful, the stars were glamorous, and the columns were read before the morning coffee was finished. Our guest was one of the sharpest observers of that world, a journalist who knew where the stories were and who the players were. She chronicled the triumphs, scandals, romances, and rivalries of Tinseltown with wit and truth. If there was buzz on Sunset Boulevard or whispers on a studio lot, chances are she heard it first. Gossip columnist Joyce Haber gives us a history lesson of movie stars, power lunches, red carpets, and the art of the gossip column. Joyce wrote a New York Times bestseller, The Users, which was turned into a movie featuring many well-known movie actors. It made many Hollywood stars nervous. Bob Berry program, and on the air with us right now is Joyce Haber. Joyce is the daughter of the late John Sanford Haber, vice president of Philco International Corporation. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree. At the age of 6 years old, she starred in 3 motion pictures. She's been on Broadway. She began her journalistic career at Time magazine. She became Time's Hollywood reporter in 1963. Then she joined the Los Angeles Times in May of 1966. And in September of 1967, she began the widely syndicated Hollywood column for which she is best known. You've read her gossip column many, many times. She has written numerous freelance articles for publications like Esquire, Harper's Bazaar in New York, Town and Country. She has made a lot of appearances in films, game shows, been on most of the major talk shows, and now she has written some kind of a novel here called The Users, and it's a no-holds-barred look at the Hollywood world that she knows best. Joyce, it is really a pleasure to have you with us this morning. I have read many, many Joyce Haber columns.
Well, thank you, Bob.
You know, the stars always deny all of those reports of gossip columnists. Now, are some, would you say that some of your reports were maybe a little false or maybe a little exaggerated at times?
I tried not to make them false or exaggerated. I checked pretty carefully.
Okay, well, why do they deny them? I mean, they just don't want people to know, or what's, is it for
I'd say
publicity?
50% are dying to let people know all the strange things that happen, and 50% don't want anyone to know.
Okay. What about Jackie Onassis? A lot of things have been written about her. She's made the cover of every gossip magazine 500 times. Do you think they tend to exaggerate stories about her?
Oh, yes, I think, of course, it depends on what you're reading and what the publication is. If you're reading the National Enquirer or something like that, I wouldn't believe a word of it.
Okay.
Or maybe one word of it. But if you're reading something reliable like Time or Newsweek or a well-checked gossip column, it's usually pretty true.
Women's Wear Daily has called Joyce Haber one of the 10 most powerful women in the media. And now she has written this book, The Users. You're seeing it all over. At any bookstore you go into, you see it a paperback up on the... in fact, I saw one rack that had only The Users on. How do they get to, how does the publisher get a rack like that? What does it take?
Well, actually, they send them out in what they call a dump, which is a wooden box, and it holds usually about 8 books. And it can be displayed in that, or it can be displayed in racks that the publishers provide, the bookstores.
Well, this is a gripping novel. The Users is a gripping novel about the activities of the power-hungry Hollywood people, rising stars, studio heads, lawyers, agents, gossip columnists, many of whom use sex as a key ingredient in their power plays. And Joyce holds nothing back from her readers, including vivid descriptions of Hollywood social climbing, Hollywood business deals, Hollywood sex. The behavior of these people. What does this tell us about their values, about Hollywood, about society at large?
Well, it told me. I was so surprised by the whole thing, Bob, I decided to write a novel about it. I think it's a very densely populated, more densely populated crazy place than any place else in the world that I know of. And I think it just says that some of them can't handle the sudden fame, that, you know, that old cliche, and they get very bored and blasé, and it takes more and more to turn them on and to give them a thrill. Drugs, sex, anything. And it shows insecurity in them, manipulating to get jobs and make deals. And this status, the idea in the book about status climbing and the Hollywood hostess who has to concentrate on the party for 10 days before she gives it, make sure the silverware is Tiffany or something, it shows an awful lot about them, don't you think?
That's for sure. How long did it take you to write this story?
About 2 years. I was doing the column until toward the end, when I could no longer finish the book and do the column 5 times a week, so I no longer do the column.
How much truth is there to the users, percentage-wise?
Well, I can give you a percent Felicia Lemon, Jack's wife, gave me. She came up to me at a party right after she read it. And she said, "My goodness, Joyce, I think 99% of this book is true."
Okay.
I think that's fairly good testimony from somebody you want to know.
Now, the names of some of the characters in your book, like Elena, Randy, Victor Kroll, Natalie, Nancy, can you give us any real people that you're depicting?
They've been guessed at a lot, and I suppose they resemble certain people. It's funny, half the people will say, well, let's take the Marina Vaughn character, who's a singer and a movie star and a stage concert star, and the daughter of a famous singer. And some people have said it's Liza Minnelli, and some have said it's Barbara Streisand, and some have seen elements of Jane Fonda in her. It's funny how people guess different things about the characters. The Nancy Nathan character is supposedly either Gloria Steinem or Ally McGraw, or a little of Jane Fonda in her too, when she runs off and leaves. She leaves her baby daughter, with her husband, the studio chief. And the studio chief, of course, is, well, Mr. Dick Zanuck and Mr. Bob Evans said to me, "I just can't believe it's not me." And I said, "Well, why don't you both get together and sue me?"
That was going to be my next question. Have you had any comment from any of the people that you've either depicted possibly or maybe mentioned in the book, like Fred Astaire, the Jack Lemmons, Rex Reed, Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, Gregory Peck?
Well, Warren hasn't said anything. I mean, I've met him numerous times since the book came out. Fred Astaire was funny when he got an advance copy of the book. Since his name is on the cover, as you know, on an invitation to a party, and there's a lady putting a cigarette out over his name, he called and he said, "Joyce, I don't understand this. Why is this woman putting a cigarette out on my name?" So I said, "Fred, it was the publishers who decided that you were more outstanding than Cary Grant or John Wayne or Gene Kelly or anybody. They put you on the cover." And I said, "The title is the users, and what it means, I suppose, is that you're the most revered and untouchable man, and here is somebody maligning your name, you know." And so he said, "Oh, well." He said, "I see, that's nice." And we were friends again.
Any other comments?
Oh, well, Burt Reynolds tore out the page he appears on. And there I happen to say that Burt, like Fred Astaire and Frank Sinatra, was bald and wore a toupee. And he sent me a note. He circled this, and he sent me a note with the page, and it said, "Dear Joyce, thanks a lot, Burt." I don't know if he was kidding to this day.
We're talking to Joyce Haber, and Joyce has written a novel called Users, which is going to be made into a movie for ABC. When are we talking about a target date on this now? Or?
Well, their tentative scheduling date is for February of this year, this season. That's when they hope to do it anyway.
Who will star in the movie? Do you know, Joyce?
No, I don't. One of the producers has a wonderful idea of using Telly Savalas as the sort of womanizing American novelist, the Norman Mailer type, shall we say. I think that would be pretty good casting. Joan Collins has told me she'd love to play the heroine, Elena. And Joan, as you know, is very beautiful and very dark-haired, and Elena is she's from East Berlin and she's blonde. And I said, Joan, if you're willing to bleach your hair a lot, maybe.
We mentioned before some of the people commenting on the book. You haven't been sued yet, have you?
No,
Okay.
not at all. Not
Yeah.
really.
I guess as long as you don't use the real names, they really can't, can they?
No. And as you know, I intersperse the real names with the fictional ones. So
Yeah, right. That's
something
fictional.
Jackie Suzanne used to do a lot. And then, then if somebody says, well, I, Liza Minnelli, am Marina, you say, how can you be Marina? You're at the same party she's at, It's a neat little trick.
What are you going to do now, Joyce? Now that you've written the users, of course you're doing some promotion for the users now. You're going to go back to gossip columns again?
No, I write one column a month now for a city magazine called Los Angeles Magazine on anything I want, which is not gossip, incidentally, Bob. I think I've had it with that. It's just too hard gathering all that stuff and checking it out. But I'm writing another book, and it's called The Cheaters.
Ah, hey. Well, I'll be reading that too. Okay, tell us a little bit about what that book will...
Well, that one is, the main idea of that one is it concerns the takeover of a major Hollywood studio. And again, the manipulations that go on when somebody comes in a young man comes in from a network, as head of a network where he's about to be fired, and he becomes the head of the studio, the president of the studio. It very strongly resembles a takeover of Paramount Studios that happened a while back when Barry Diller of ABC went in over Frank Yablons and Bob Evans and was made chairman of Paramount Pictures. And no one knew about it except Mr. Diller and his lawyer and Mr. Bluehorn, who's Gulf and Western, as you know, and owns Paramount.
I'm disappointed now because you were talking about you're giving up gossip, and I wanted to ask you what the latest gossip is in Hollywood. Do you have any?
Oh, let's see. What can I put on the air that's gossip in Hollywood?
You can say anything, Joyce. Go ahead.
I think you'll be sorry.
Try me. Go ahead.
Try him. My
Sure.
goodness. Everybody asks about Farrah Fawcett nowadays.
Well, what? Now she, of course, is not going to do Charlie's Angels. She's going to go into movies, right?
Yes, she's just signed for a movie, and I guess is about to start it. And she and Lee Majors formed their own company, as you probably know. And that was the way he went back to The $1 Million Man. They now own part of the show with the network.
Ah, that's it. Okay. Do you think she made a mistake, though, not going back to Charlie's Angels?
Well, we all hope she can act very well, I guess, if she's going to try movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There certainly is a fan club for her, including my 2 children. They have her picture plastered all over their 4 walls in their bedrooms.
How about Jackie? She's always pictured with men. Does she really have any serious relationship going?
Well, the last I heard, she was very serious with Pete Hamill, the columnist, the New York columnist. And, of course, then the last I heard after that was he was back with Shirley MacLaine. So, as far as I know, no, she doesn't right now have anybody.
How about the Burt Reynolds, Sally Field story?
I think he certainly has been dating her. I don't know much more about that. Then there's a Tatum O'Neal, Michael Jackson story. You may have heard of the Jackson 5. But I really think Ryan is, her father, is more her date around Hollywood than anybody else. He takes her to parties. Until 3 a.m., I might add.
Yeah. And he was the one that wanted to keep her away from, that was one of the stories, keep her away from show business.
That's right. Yes, but I guess he's changed his mind.
He said that he was asked first to do, did you hear that one yet? He was asked to star in New York, and he turned it down because he didn't like the script. And now the producer is saying, hey, wait a minute, he was never offered the part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's, they're really, and of course, De Niro's a little upset about it too.
I would think so. That's a common thing in Hollywood. I once found out that when they were casting Butch Cassidy, I found out that 2 major stars had turned down. Paul Newman, of course, had the property and wanted top billing, and got it. But I found out that Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman had both turned down second billing, and I called to check on it. And Dick Zanuck, who was the studio chief at Fox, the president of Fox at the time, said to me, Joyce, it's true, but he said, please don't print it, because if you do, we're negotiating with Robert Redford, and he won't want to be third choice, and we'll lose him. So I never printed it.
I'll be darned. That's interesting. Joyce, we ran out of time. Thank you very much for talking with us. Lots of luck with your book. I'm sure it'll be very successful. The Users, Joyce Haber. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for having me.
Okay.
WOKY, Bob Berry, 9092.
Thank you for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. Be sure to subscribe and rate our podcast wherever you find your podcasts. You can find all our episodes at WisconsinBroadcastersMuseum.org. Check out Bob Berry's book, Rock and Roll Radio Milwaukee. Book sale proceeds support Donate Life Wisconsin. Special thanks to Wisconsin Historical Society and for financial support from WBA Hall of Famer Terry Bond.